I don't think it's a question of procedure. I think there should be a new offence, but I'm much more anxious to ensure that we're dealing with an educative process whereby those responsible for ensuring these communities feel secure recognise the extent of the problem. So it's not so much to do with the law, and it's not so much to do with procedures, it's to do with the need for the investigative authorities to take it seriously.
With racial violence and racial incidents, we've been turning around and saying to officers on the beat, no, this is actually a lot more serious because of the impact it has on the victim. It's disproportionate to the nature of the crime. So we've had quite an uphill battle in shifting the culture and making officers realise that this is something to be taken very seriously. We found in London that the setting up racial incident units or having dedicated staff that deal with racial incidents has actually helped improve not just the investigation of those offences, but the support provided to victims.
We'll look at the daily workings of one of the racial incidents units in the Metropolitan Police area, at Plumstead in the Borough of Greenwich. It was set up in 1990 with one white police constable.
We primarily see ourselves as investigators, but we go further and wider than investigating crime in terms of investigating what would normally be regarded by police as civil disputes. But because our terms of reference are to investigate anything with a racial motivation that's perhaps non-crime, we can dedicate more time, although we obviously aim to give a high quality of service across the board, we are given an even higher quality of service to the victims of racial crime and racial incidents, and that's the object of it.
The standard way of measuring performance might be in terms of the number of cleared up solved crimes. But in this particular unit, it's very clear that we have gained success in the way we've made contact with the community as well. And people from ethnic minorities are now more willing to speak to officers on the unit.
My name is Walati Singh. I'm a lawyer from the London Borough of Greenwich Legal Department. I was seconded to this unit in September 1994. The reason for my secondment was basically me. After watching several documentaries on the racial incident unit, I felt that the unit, even though it was doing well, could improve the service that it was providing. Basically because the victims that they go and see are of an ethnic minority group. And I felt that the unit, having all white officers, was underperforming in that sense that they could do with someone from an ethnic minority group.
As a local authority lawyer, what powers does Walati Singh bring to the racial incidents unit?
Well, the tenancy conditions basically says that the council tenants are to behave themselves towards other tenants. They're not to racially abuse, not to threaten, not to harass other tenants because of their colour, racial origin or ethnic group. That's like a specific one for racial incidents, but there is also other general where the tenant is required to let other tenants have peaceable enjoyment of their property, and therefore the council can either go on the racial element or just on a general nuisance.